test our create task function here. So let's go ahead and I'm trying to decide whether I want to copy create user story to work from, because it's pretty similar, or if I want to just type it up. Let's give it a try. All right, so this should be after delete user story. All right. All right, so create task should call the tasks service to create a task and return the updated project. Okay, so that means that we're not worried about any of these else statements, and we're just worried about this line of logic. Okay, so for name, we will have, I think we can just go with task 1. Then we can go with task 1 description, user ID 15, project ID 1, feature ID 1, and then let's go ahead and say store const user story ID, and let's say 1. Okay, so let's take a look. So we have project ID 1 and 1 feature in it. That's fine. Feature ID 1, and then we have user story ID 1. And then I am going to let's just make it actually going to be task 3 and then task 3 description. Okay, so let's check the next one. I'm going to actually delete these tasks out of there and say it doesn't matter. And then I am going to delete this entire, I'm going to just do that. So this makes sense that that's to do. Then we're going to have task count 0, completed tasks 0. That makes sense. I'm going to minimize that. 2 tasks 0 are completed. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to copy this project, because that's going to be the project that's going to be updated, and I'm going to replace it here. All right, so then what we're going to see is that we'll have a third task, which is going to be ID 3, task 3, and it's automatically going to have the status to do, which reminds me that we don't have a description for tasks. Okay, so that is going to be our projects with statuses. This is going to be our updated projects. You can see that now we have task count 3. All right, so I'm going to close this. All right, so let's just verify in progress. So this features 2 user stories and none are done. All right, that makes sense. All right, so we are still going to get these are projects and mock the resolved value projects with statuses. This will just happen in the logic. This will happen in the logic. This will happen in the logic, okay? And then the create task, we don't need a mock because we're not returning anything, but we do need a mock that this get project by ID, which is going to be updated project. So const result of create task, then we're going to have user story ID. All right, let's make sure that this is the right thing. So project 1, feature 1, user story 1. Okay, perfect. All right, so we expect result to be equal to user projects, and that all makes sense to me. Let's see if we have any typos or anything, and looks like we don't. Create task works. Okay, so that is good in terms of create task works when we have a user story feature and project. So let's go ahead and copy this create task and we are going to head up and we are going to say should throw unauthorized error when user story is undefined. All right, so then let's make this user story 100. Okay, so that doesn't exist, so then there will be no updated project. That means that we won't be mocking this. That means that there will be no result here. So we will add our try statement. All right, and this get project by ID is not going to be called, and we are going to cut this and paste it into our catch block, and instead of result we're going to do error, and we expect the error to equal new unauthorized exception, and it's going to be unauthorized. So that is going to be this use case here. Okay. All right, let's give that a try. Perfect. So let's now copy this and do our next edge case. So our next edge case, let's say, is going to be if there is no feature. So if there is a feature, there's no feature, so otherwise we will throw our unauthorized error. So we just pasted this in. So this user story doesn't really matter anymore because there's not going to be a feature, but let's change the feature ID to 100 and the rest should honestly stay the same. Perfect. And then we are going to change this here and change it to project is 100 and should throw unauthorized error. So this one is going to be when feature is undefined, and then this one is going to be when project is undefined. All right, and let's rerun the test and see how we do. Awesome. All right, so we have one function left to test, which is going to be our update task function. So I am going to copy my update user story function and I am going to put it down here, and then we'll make the necessary edits to make this an update task. So update task should call the tasks service to update a task field and return the updated user story status. All right, so this one is going to be a little bit different. So we actually don't need an updated project. All right, so I'm actually gonna just start fresh. I think it's gonna change a lot. Okay, so let's start with const fields. Let's say we'll start with name, const value, to do one edited. All right. Then we will say const user ID 15, const task ID, let's just say 1. Okay. So then the next thing that we need to mock is user story ID, let's say 1. And the next thing that we need to mock is going to be const updated user story status. I don't remember what that looks like, so let's go ahead and go to user story status ID, and it looks like it's going to be our string with the completed tasks out of the task count. And since this is to do, it doesn't really matter, so let's say 0 out of 3. Okay, let's go back now here. and we need to do the mock resolved values. Okay, so we're gonna say mock, nope, that's not what we're gonna say. Callie, get it together. All right, tasks service dot update task dot mock resolved value. And we are going to pass in field, value, user ID, and task ID. All right, and then we're going to say user story service dot, right? It's like my brain goes on autopilot and starts typing things that make no sense. Okay, so user story ID, blah. All right, because we're mocking what we want to come back, not what we're passing in. But whenever I start writing task service dot update task, it's like my fingers just want to start typing this. All right, user story service, get user story status by ID, and then we're going to mock the resolved value, and that's going to be updated user story status. Okay, so now let's actually call it. So we're going to say const result is going to be await service dot update task, and then we're going to pass in the field, value, user ID, and task ID. Then we can add our expect statement. So we expect our result to equal updated user story status. All right, let's run this test. Woohoo! All right, so now let's add our other expect statements. So we expect, first off, that our tasks service dot update task, we expect that to have been called. And we expect the task service dot update task to have been called with field, value, user ID, and task ID. Let's run the tests, make sure that makes sense. Perfect. And then we expect the tasks service dot we expect the user story service dot get user story status by ID to have been called, and we expect the user story service dot get user story status by ID to have been called with let's take a look, user story ID. All right, let's run the tests, and woohoo! All right. So, almost 3,000 lines of code later, we have written 45 auth spec tests. All right, so when we return, we will go ahead and we actually aren't exactly done because we want to test our send password reset email. So when we return, we will take a look at that. No, we already tested that one. Where is the, I thought we had one that we didn't test. You know what? Not important in this video. We're gonna end this video here, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.